Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're looking at 9 surprising pieces of guitar player trivia. Years ago there was a TV program called Rock and Roll Jeopardy! If you were a contestant on that show, this stuff would have been great to know. However, it's long since been cancelled, so there's little practical application for this knowledge. But I hope you enjoy it anyway. Let's dive in. When I think of one of my favorite musicians, Frank Zappa, I think of an eccentric genius. He was a talented guitarist and a prolific composer with a biting sense of humor. He looked like a stereotypical 70s rock star. Long flowing hair, iconic goatee, but unlike many of his peers, as surprising as it is to many, he maintained a strict anti-drug lifestyle. Frank stated that drugs mutated people from normal human beings to, and I quote, raging assholes. He not only abstained from drugs himself, but also enforced a strict no-drug policy amongst his band. Violating it would quickly get you fired and sent home. Of course, this policy didn't apply to coffee and cigarettes, which he consumed like they were going out of style. Mochas, Marlboros, and rock and roll, baby. Moving on, our next piece of trivia features the former guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Frusciante. According to lead singer Anthony Kiedis' nephew, he once met JF backstage at a Chili show. And like many guitarists, John's pre-show ritual consisted of him warming up on his instrument. Unlike others, he would do it while crushing sit-ups. In the words of Anthony's nephew, he was just totally absorbed in what he was doing, just shredding and doing these Zen sit-ups. When I walked up to him, I just felt this crazy aura. Like I said, he is a madman and a genius, and you can feel his presence. Hey, if I had to perform while only wearing a sock, I would try to look my best too. On to our next fun fact. Chet Atkins would earn the nickname Mr. Guitar, playing his signature style incorporating rhythm, bass, and melody into one single guitar part. Before he was Mr. Guitar, Chet was Boy Guitar, and as a child he suffered from severe asthma. According to the biography written about him, because of his illness he was forced to sleep in a straight-back chair to breathe comfortably. On those nights, he would play his guitar until he fell asleep holding it. And according to Chet, this is something he would regularly do throughout the rest of his life. Fall asleep, guitar in hand. Moving on to the other side of the musical spectrum, we've got Dave Mustaine of the metal group Megadeth, who has throughout his career rocked as hard as the best of them. A life of this takes its toll on the body, and Dave found himself with chronic pain caused by spinal stenosis. What caused this condition, you may ask? Headbanging. Fortunately, in 2011, Dave had surgery which alleviated many of his symptoms. But when it comes to headbanging, these days, Dave Mustaine must abstain to avoid neck pain. Ain't that a shame? Next up, everyone knows John Mayer from his catchy pop songs, his blues-drenched guitar riffs, and his enthralling Snapchat stories. What you may not know is he had his own TV show called John Mayer Has a TV Show. This VH1 program aired in 2004 and lasted a whopping 1 episode. If you want to see John dress up like a bear and meet his fans incognito or watch him shave his drum tech's head, you can still find the episode on YouTube. We've all seen those videos of some young punk kid who can play guitar better than we can ever dream to. Aren't child prodigies the worst? Well, on the flip side of the coin, the greatest jazz guitarist of them all, Wes Montgomery, didn't pick up a 6-string until he was 20 years old. Before that, he had only played a 4-string tenor guitar, an instrument that has since faded into obscurity. Wes would work in a factory by day, gigging at night before he would eventually earn a name for himself thumbing those wonderful octaves. A quick bonus piece of trivia, this guy from the Star Trek Enterprise series is apparently Wes's grandson. Moving on, maybe the most rock star-esque of all the rock stars is the man known as skraCH. Low-strung Les Paul, cigarette hanging from his mouth, and a massive mop of hair held in place by his signature top hat. So how did the Guns N' Roses guitarist come to sport this 19th century look? Early on in the band's history, they were starting to gain some traction in their hometown of LA. skraCH realized he was wearing the same thing to shows over and over again and had to spice up his wardrobe. However, at this time, they still weren't generating much income, so skraCH would often employ the old 5-finger discount. One day, he came across a top hat, decided he needed to have it, but had no idea how he would steal such a big item. So without any better plan, he took the top hat off the mannequin, stuck it on his head, and casually walked out of the store. Surprisingly, no one seemed to care, and it would become an integral part of his look from that day on. The subject of our next piece of trivia, Vince Gill is one of the most decorated men in music. He's had over 40 singles chart on the US billboards, he's sold over 26 million records, has 21 Grammys amongst countless other achievements. Not only is the man a phenomenal guitarist, singer, and songwriter, but he's also a scratch golfer. If you aren't savvy on golf lingo, that means he is literally par for the course, a feat that your average amateur golfer can only dream of. Props to you, Vince. Props to you. The last piece of trivia on our list is especially surprising since few guitarists can own the stage like the virtuoso Eddie Van Halen. But Eddie has struggled with extreme anxiety and stage fright since he was a young kid. When he was only 12 years old, his father of all people showed him a way to cope with this. Alcohol. This obviously wasn't a perfect solution as he was simply swapping one problem for another. The struggle with anxiety quickly turned into a struggle with alcohol that Eddie battled for years. Fortunately, Eddie is now clean and sober, but will still get the pre-show jitters. Apparently, even the best get a little nervous sometimes. And those, my friends, are 9 surprising pieces of guitar player trivia. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned something new. Thank you all for watching, and an especially big thank you to everyone who supports my channel through Patreon. Patreon is a program that allows people like you to directly support the content that I create. Through it, I offer a number of rewards like early access to all my videos, tabs to the songs I make, and even private sensei sessions. If you like what I do, please consider hitting that link over there and checking it out. Until next time, I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I will see you again soon.